Have you ever noticed that the world you live in seems designed to keep your attention everywhere except where it matters? Every second, your phone lights up. Every app screams for you to scroll, swipe, click, react. Advertisers know exactly how to pull at your dopamine. Politicians and influencers fight for your outrage. Even the people around you seem addicted to pulling you into their drama. This is not random. It is not harmless. We live in a world built on distraction warfare. And when you are distracted, when your mind is constantly fragmented, you lose the most important power you have as a human being, the power of concentrated attention. Think about it. Throughout history, every great leader, every general, every philosopher, every innovator had one thing in common. Not wealth, not privilege, not luck, but the ability to harness the raw energy of their mind and direct it toward a single goal, a single idea, a single vision. That is why Machiavelli, the ruthless observer of power, warned us, without self-concentration, you are nothing but clay in the hands of others, easily shaped, easily distracted, easily dominated. But let's look at today's reality. How much of your day do you truly control? How many of your thoughts are yours? And how many are implanted through the feed, the trending topics, the endless noise of the crowd? Be honest with yourself. Most men today cannot sit in silence for even 5 minutes without reaching for a device. Most cannot work for an hour without checking messages. Most cannot even be alone with their own thoughts without feeling restless. That's not weakness, it's conditioning. Society trains you to be distracted because a distracted man is powerless. He has no inner defense. He is led, not leading. He reacts instead of creating. He consumes instead of producing. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you as the rare man who refuses to play this game. Imagine mastering the art of self-concentration, building the mental muscle to own your focus, to withdraw from chaos, to command your attention like a sword. When you achieve this, everything changes. You stop being manipulated by algorithms. You stop being a slave to other people's urgency. You stop being an emotional puppet pulled by the strings of fear, anger, or desire. Instead, you become untouchable. A man who can hold his focus, hold his silence, and stand firm in his mission is a man who terrifies the world. Because such men cannot be controlled. And this is why part 1 of this journey is crucial. We need to understand the true enemy of concentration. It is not simply your phone, not simply the endless media, not even the chaos of life. The true enemy is your own undisciplined mind, your emotions, your compulsions, your inner hunger for novelty. Machiavelli understood this cold truth. Power is not lost because others are stronger. Power is lost because you give away your attention willingly. Every time you get triggered, every time you scroll instead of thinking, every time you let your emotions hijack your focus, you surrender your inner kingdom. So here's the first step in this hour of transformation. I want you to recognize distraction not as a minor inconvenience, but as a weapon being used against you. Every distraction is a theft of your power. Every reaction is a chain around your mind. This is why you must begin to cultivate the discipline of silence, the discipline of focus, the discipline of refusing to scatter your mental energy. For the next 10 minutes, I want you to sit with this idea. Distraction is slavery. Concentration is freedom. If you want to reclaim yourself, if you want to become dangerous, powerful, and unshakable, it begins with mastering your attention. And in the next part, we will go even deeper into the ancient secret of isolation. Why every great man, from emperors to philosophers to warriors, deliberately withdrew from the crowd, and how solitude became their forge of power. But first, let this sink in. The war for your mind begins with distraction, and the only weapon that wins that war is concentration. Hold your silence, breathe, reclaim your power. Now that you understand distraction as the silent enemy, Let's move to the next weapon of power: isolation. Not loneliness, not exile, not weakness, but chosen isolation. Why did Machiavelli, the cold strategist of power, often write in solitude, away from the noise of politics and the court? Why did emperors, kings, and generals retreat into private chambers before making their most important decisions? Why did philosophers from Marcus Aurelius to Nietzsche rely on long walks alone, far from the crowd? Because they knew something that the modern man has forgotten. Isolation is not escape, it is refinement. When you isolate yourself, you are doing something radical. You are refusing to let the crowd shape your mind. Understand this: the crowd has one goal: to absorb you into its chaos, to pull your mind into the noise of gossip, comparison, and distraction. The crowd does not want you to stand apart. The crowd wants you to dissolve. But the man who isolates himself even for an hour a day signals to the world, "My mind belongs to me." Think of great warriors. Before the battle, they do not stand in the marketplace chatting. They withdraw, they sharpen their blades, they steel their spirits. Isolation is not weakness, it is preparation. Now, apply this to your own life. Every time you step away from the constant stream of distraction, you are sharpening your mental blade. Every time you choose silence instead of noise, you are forging steel within yourself. It is in solitude where you hear your true thoughts. It is in solitude where your deepest strategies are born. It is in solitude where you stop reacting and begin directing. But let's be clear, isolation is not easy. In fact, most men fear it. Why? Because when you strip away the noise, you are left with yourself, with your unfiltered thoughts, with your regrets, with your unfulfilled potential staring you in the face. Most men cannot handle that confrontation. They would rather drown in endless noise than face the silence of their own soul. But here lies the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary. The weak run from solitude. The strong embrace it. The powerful demand it. Machiavelli understood that a ruler who cannot endure solitude will always be ruled by others. So, how do you practice this principle in today's world? It begins with deliberate withdrawal. Block time in your day to be completely alone. No phone, no internet, no messages, just you and your mind. At first, it will feel uncomfortable, even painful. Your mind will scream for stimulation. You will feel restless. But if you stay with it, if you endure that resistance, you will discover a new layer of power. Because in that silence, you will find something rare: clarity. Clarity about your priorities. Clarity about your mission. Clarity about what truly matters. And that clarity, once gained, makes you unstoppable. Remember, the crowd reacts. The isolated man strategizes. The crowd is driven by noise. The isolated man moves in silence. The crowd wastes energy chasing illusions. The isolated man directs energy like a laser. Isolation refines you. It purifies your emotions. It strengthens your discipline. It makes your presence more commanding when you finally step back into the world. When a man who is comfortable in solitude speaks, people listen because his words are not echoes of the crowd. They are born from silence, from reflection, from inner command. That is why the truly powerful always cultivate solitude. So I ask you, when was the last time you deliberately withdrew from the noise? When was the last time you sat in a room with nothing but your thoughts? When was the last time you embraced silence, not as absence, but as a weapon? This is your training ground. And in the next part, we'll go deeper. Because once you've embraced isolation, there is another battle waiting inside you. The war between reaction and strategy. Most men live their lives reacting to everything. The Machiavellian man, the powerful man, learns to stop reacting and begin calculating. But for now, let this truth harden in you. Isolation is not loneliness. Isolation is refinement. It is where the ordinary man breaks and where the extraordinary man is forged. So, you've begun to understand distraction as the enemy. You've started to see isolation not as weakness, but as refinement. Now comes the most dangerous battlefield of all your own emotions. Because the truth is this: most men don't lose because they lack strength. They don't fail because they lack intelligence. They fail because they cannot control their reactions. Think about it. A single insult can destroy years of composure. One betrayal can consume a man's focus for months. A flash of anger can ruin a lifetime's reputation. Men throughout history, kings, rulers, generals, have fallen not from lack of armies or wealth, but because their emotions drove them to make reckless decisions. Machiavelli knew this. He observed that the men who win in politics, war, and life are not always the strongest, but they are always the most calculated. They master the art of strategy over reaction. Let's break this down. Reaction is instinct. Someone pushes you, you push back. Someone insults you, you respond in anger. Someone provokes you, you lash out. It feels natural, it feels justified, but it makes you predictable. And the predictable man is always easy to manipulate. Strategy, on the other hand, is the opposite. You don't respond on impulse. You don't give the satisfaction of a quick reply. You pause. You calculate. You choose the timing and the manner of your response, not based on emotion, but on advantage. This is not weakness. This is not cowardice. This is control. And control is power. Consider the chess master. The amateur reacts to every move, panicked, emotional, trying to defend himself. The master sees 10 moves ahead. He doesn't react, he calculates. Life works the same way. Business, relationships, conflict, power struggles. The man who reacts gives his power away. The man who strategizes gathers power silently until the right moment to strike. Now, let's be honest. You have been reactive many times. We all have. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and suddenly your blood boils. A colleague insults you, and you waste the rest of the day rehearsing arguments in your head. A woman ignores you, and you feel compelled to chase her attention. Every reaction drains you. Every reaction scatters your concentration. Every reaction enslaves you to someone else's game. But what if you flipped it? What if instead of reacting, you observed? What if instead of taking the bait, you studied the situation, like a predator circling its prey? That's the Machiavellian mindset. Here's the shift. When you feel anger rising, don't explode. Note it and ask, how can this anger be useful? When you feel jealousy, don't lash out. Ask, how can this show me what I truly desire and how to achieve it? When you feel provoked, don't fight. Pause, breathe, and let silence unnerve your opponent. In doing so, you transform emotion into fuel. You turn raw reaction into cold calculation. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, who wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." This is more than philosophy, it is strategy. If no one can predict your reactions, no one can control you. This is why emotional detachment is not just self-help advice, it is psychological warfare. Because the man who cannot be provoked is dangerous. He cannot be manipulated. He cannot be rushed. He moves when it benefits him, not when others demand it. So, here is your next exercise. For the next week, I want you to notice every moment when you are tempted to react. Instead of exploding, hold silence. Instead of defending, observe. Instead of chasing, calculate. You will begin to see how often the world relies on your reactivity. How often others try to bait you, push you, trigger you, because they know you will give your power away. And when you stop reacting, you will see something incredible. Their control evaporates. Remember this: reaction is slavery. Strategy is freedom. The reactive man dances on strings. The strategic man cuts the strings and becomes the puppet master. This is the law Machiavelli wanted you to learn. Never be predictable. Never let emotions dictate your moves. Always calculate. Always choose. Always remain in command. In the next part, we're going deeper. Because once you've broken free from reactivity, there's another weapon you must sharpen: self-focus as leverage. Why? Because the man who can direct all of his energy inward can turn himself into a weapon sharper than any blade. But for now, engrave this into your mind. Reaction makes you weak. Strategy makes you untouchable. Up until now, we've exposed the enemies of your mind: distraction, noise, and the trap of reactivity. We've seen how isolation refines you and how strategy makes you unpredictable. But there is another layer of power, perhaps the most essential of all: self-focus. Because once you've silenced the outer world and stopped wasting your energy on emotional reactions, you must learn to turn all of that energy inward. This is how you become unstoppable. Here's the truth most men never realize. You are leaking energy constantly. Every argument you indulge in, every useless debate, every distraction, every craving, every emotional storm leaks your life force into the world. And then you wonder why you feel tired, why your goals stall, why your dreams stay fantasies. It's because you were spending your energy everywhere except on yourself. Machiavelli, cold as he was, understood this principle deeply. The ruler who spreads his attention everywhere rules nothing. The man who directs all power inward becomes untouchable. Self-focus is not selfishness. It is not arrogance. It is leverage. Because when you learn to concentrate your time, your energy, and your attention on your own growth, your own mission, your own discipline, you multiply your force. Think of it like a magnifying glass. Sunlight scattered across the ground warms nothing, but sunlight concentrated through a lens can set fire to steel. That is what happens when you turn your focus inward. So, let's ask a dangerous question. How much of your life is truly yours? How much of your day is invested into building your mind, your body, your craft, your future? And how much of it is wasted on other people's dramas, gossip, distractions, and illusions? Most men spend 90% of their time feeding everything but themselves. They build other people's dreams. They fight other people's battles. They chase other people's approval. And then they wonder why their own lives are empty. But the man who withdraws his focus from the external world and turns it inward becomes powerful beyond imagination. This is why silence is so dangerous. When you are silent, you stop reacting. When you are silent, you stop feeding the noise. When you are silent, all of that energy begins to circle back into you. And suddenly, the man who used to waste hours scrolling now uses those hours to sharpen his mind. The man who once argued endlessly now studies, reads, plans, and refines his mission. The man who once craved attention now builds power in the shadows. Self-focus transforms wasted energy into refined strength. Let me make this clear. The most dangerous man is not the one who screams his goals to the world. The most dangerous man is the one who withdraws into himself, trains in silence, studies in silence, builds in silence, and then emerges with results so undeniable the world cannot ignore him. That man becomes a storm. That man becomes a weapon. That man becomes untouchable. But here's the trap you must avoid. Self-focus is not about indulgence. It is not about comfort. It is not about feeding your ego. Self-focus means investing in what builds you into something stronger. It means cutting out distractions mercilessly. It means pouring every ounce of your time into what grows you, hardens you, sharpens you. It is not easy. It is not comfortable. But it is the path to greatness. Here's your next challenge. Take 1 hour a day, minimum, where every single ounce of your attention is invested into yourself. No phone, no messages, no noise. Just you and your craft, your body, your knowledge, your discipline. Do this for a week and you will feel the difference. Do this for a month, and others will notice the difference. Do this for a year, and you will no longer recognize the man you used to be. Because every minute spent on yourself multiplies into power. This is why the masses remain powerless. They scatter. They scatter their attention. They scatter their time. They scatter their energy. But the Machiavellian man gathers. He draws it all back. He focuses, sharpens, refines. And when he finally steps into the world, his presence is lethal. So remember this. The man who focuses outward is a servant. The man who focuses inward is a king. Machiavelli knew it. The great men of history knew it. And now you know it. In the next part, we'll go deeper into an even colder truth, the need to kill your hunger for approval. Because the moment you stop needing to be seen, the moment you no longer crave validation, you step into a freedom that terrifies the world. But for now, engrave this into your mind. Self-focus is not indulgence, it is leverage. And leverage is power. Now we step into one of Machiavelli's coldest truths. A truth so brutal, most men spend their entire lives running from it. The need to be seen is a weakness. The hunger for approval is a chain. And the moment you kill that hunger, you become free. Think about the modern world. Why do people post every detail of their lives online? Why do men boast about their achievements, their possessions, their victories? Why do women and men alike seek constant validation from likes, comments, and attention? Because deep down, they are addicted to being seen. They believe their value only exists if others acknowledge it. But here's the Machiavellian truth. The man who craves recognition is always a slave. He is a puppet, begging for applause. He will dance, compromise, and sell pieces of himself just to be validated. And the moment you need validation, you can be controlled. History proves this. Ambitious men destroyed themselves because they wanted to be celebrated, remembered, adored. Kings went to war, not for necessity, but to be seen as glorious. Politicians sold their souls to gain applause from the crowd. But the cold strategist knows fame is a trap, approval is a leash, recognition is a drug that robs you of your independence. Now let's flip it. What happens when you no longer care to be seen? What happens when you no longer chase applause, attention, or validation? You become untouchable. Because the man who does not crave recognition cannot be bribed with it. The man who does not need applause cannot be manipulated by the crowd. The man who does not hunger to be seen gains the ultimate freedom, the freedom to move in silence. Imagine this. While others shout about their goals, you remain quiet. While others waste energy proving themselves, you conserve energy building yourself. While others beg for attention, you sharpen your blade in silence. And then, when the moment comes, your results appear, undeniable, unstoppable. That is the essence of Machiavellian concentration. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to be approved. You are here to dominate your mission, to sharpen your mind, to seize your power. Here's the brutal truth. Most men today live for others. They buy cars to impress strangers. They post achievements to prove themselves. They bend their lives around what others might think. But the rare man, the dangerous man, kills this need. He doesn't need to be recognized. He doesn't need to explain himself. He doesn't need the crowd's applause. Because he knows that the true power lies not in being seen, but in being unseen until the right moment. This is why invisibility is a weapon. When people cannot measure you, they cannot control you. When they cannot predict you, they cannot trap you. When they do not know your moves, they cannot prepare for them. The man who needs to be seen broadcasts his weaknesses. The man who moves in silence hides his strength until it's too late. So, how do you begin killing the need to be seen? First, stop explaining yourself. Stop defending your choices. Stop announcing your plans. Stop broadcasting your every move. Second, learn to sit with invisibility. If no one applauds you, if no one praises you, if no one even notices you, can you still stay committed? Can you still grind in silence day after day? Third, shift your validation inward. Instead of chasing applause, measure yourself by your discipline. Instead of seeking attention, judge yourself by how much stronger you've become since yesterday. This is the core of freedom. This is the death of the leash. When you no longer need to be seen, something incredible happens. You begin to act with pure clarity. Your actions are no longer tainted by the question, "What will others think?" Your decisions are no longer polluted by the fear of disapproval. You act purely for your mission, for your growth, for your power. And this, my friend, makes you a dangerous man. So remember, the crowd lives for applause. The weak man lives to be seen. The strong man lives to build in silence. And the Machiavellian man? He kills the need for recognition entirely. And that's why he cannot be controlled. In the next part, we'll sharpen the final blade, discipline as the fortress. Because once you've killed distraction, embraced isolation, mastered strategy, focused inward, and abandoned the need to be seen, only one thing remains that holds it all together: ruthless discipline. Without discipline, concentration collapses. With discipline, you become unbreakable. But for now, engrave this in your mind. The need to be seen is a weakness, and the man who kills it becomes free. We have traveled far. We've uncovered distraction as the enemy. We've learned that isolation is refinement. We've transformed reactivity into strategy. We've turned self-focus into leverage. We've killed the need for approval. Now, we arrive at the foundation that holds all of this together: discipline. Because without discipline, every other principle collapses. Without discipline, concentration is an illusion. Without discipline, all power leaks away. But with discipline, you become unbreakable. Understand this: talent will not save you. Intelligence alone will not make you powerful. Luck may open doors, but luck will never sustain you. Only discipline can turn fleeting moments of focus into a fortress of mental dominance. Machiavelli observed rulers, generals, princes. He saw their victories and their failures, and he knew those who lacked discipline always fell. They grew arrogant. They grew lazy. They lost the edge that made them strong. The disciplined, however, the men who lived with relentless self-control endured. They may not have been the most talented. They may not have been the most charismatic. But they were unshakable, immovable, indestructible. Because discipline builds a fortress inside you. Let me explain. Discipline is not about punishment. It is not about living a life of misery. It is about structure, foundation, stability. It is the wall that protects your concentration from being stolen. It is the gate that guards your mind from chaos. It is the armor that shields you from emotional manipulation. Without discipline, the world will invade your mind. With discipline, you become untouchable. So what does this look like in practice? It looks like waking up when you said you would, even when you don't feel like it. It looks like finishing the work you promised yourself, even when no one is watching. It looks like controlling your impulses, your cravings, your emotions, your distractions. Discipline is the silent executioner of weakness. Every time you say no to temptation, you sharpen your blade. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce your fortress. Every time you endure discomfort, you forge iron in your soul. And here is the greatest reward of discipline: self-respect. Because a man who cannot control himself cannot respect himself. He may seek respect from others, but deep down, he knows he is weak. But the disciplined man, the man who commands his own mind, body, and actions, carries an aura that no one can fake. His presence is undeniable. His power is silent, but felt. That is why discipline is more than habit. It is identity. Do not misunderstand. Discipline is not perfection. You will fail. You will stumble. But discipline means you return. You correct. You endure. The weak fall once and never rise. The strong fall 1,000 times, but their discipline lifts them back up. So I ask you, what is your fortress built on? Is it made of distractions, excuses, impulses? Or is it forged with discipline, layer by layer, day by day? You don't need motivation. Motivation fades. You don't need inspiration. Inspiration dies. You need discipline, the kind that survives silence, the kind that survives fatigue, the kind that survives failure. Because discipline is the only true freedom. When you master discipline, you are no longer ruled by cravings. When you master discipline, you are no longer controlled by emotion. When you master discipline, you are no longer enslaved to distraction. Discipline makes you your own master, and the man who is his own master cannot be dominated by anyone else. So let's tie it all together. Distraction weakens you. Isolation refines you. Strategy steadies you. Self-focus sharpens you. Detachment frees you. And discipline fortifies you. This is the Machiavellian path to concentration. This is the path to becoming dangerous in a world designed to weaken you. Now, it's your turn. Don't just listen. Don't just nod. Build your fortress. Block the noise. Step into silence. Master your reactions. Focus inward. Kill the hunger for approval. And above all, train your discipline until it is unbreakable. Because when your mind belongs fully to you, when your concentration is untouchable, when your fortress is complete, you will stand above the chaos. You will move with power, and the world will have no choice but to feel your presence. Master the silence. Master the focus. Master the discipline, and you will become untouchable.